Okay, fantastic. Hello, everyone. I am Kate Crowley, Farmer Training Program Manager at Rogue Farm Corps. I use they, them pronouns, and I am very excited to welcome you to this info session about our farm apprenticeship program. Nitsa, if you want to go to the next slide. We've got contact info here, just so you know. This is my name, and this is a good email address to reach me at if you have questions about anything you see here tonight. And we will drop this information in the chat for you later as well. And let's go to the next slide. Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this evening and for your interest in learning about this hands-on educational program for beginning farmers and aspiring farmers. If you are farm curious, if you are considering exploring if sustainable and regenerative agriculture is right for you, or looking to feed communities with climate smart and ecological growing practices or ranching practices, this program is for you. On behalf of Rogue Farm Corps, welcome. We're really glad you're here. We have some housekeeping considerations to discuss before we get going. Please do note that this presentation is being recorded and will be posted publicly on our website as a resource for other prospective applicants. We are going to have some time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. So if you have questions, you can pop them in the chat and we will discuss them later. We're joined here as well by our Rogue Farm Corps Portland chapter coordinator, Nitsa, who will be keeping an eye on the chat and helping us out with tech on the back end. So let's review our agenda for the evening. First, we'll have an overview about Rogue Farm Corps, what our mission statement is, what are our programs. Then we'll hone in on the apprenticeship program and talk about who's eligible to apply and discuss what the apprenticeship program looks like, how it works, core program elements, including our educational event series that Rogue Farm Corps facilitates for apprentices and others to complement the on-farm training experience. I'm also then going to pass the virtual mic to some Rogue Farm Corps alumni who are joining us, some recent graduates to talk a bit about their experience, and then we'll look at how you can apply for an apprenticeship and how to navigate our website. And then, as I said, we will wrap up with some time to answer questions from the chat. Let's get going. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so what is Rogue Farm Corps and what do we do? Rogue Farm Corps is an Oregon-based nonprofit that was established in 2004. This is our 20-year anniversary this year. We train and equip the next generation of farmers and ranchers through hands-on educational programs and the preservation of farmland. In our programs, we envision a world in which land is deeply cared for, power is equitably shared, and farms, ranches, and the people who work them flourish. A note about the word farmer when we use it in the context of our programs. We celebrate farming as skilled and dignified labor that feeds community, and we recognize that all people who perform this meaningful and enriching work are farmers, not just the people who own a farm business. So when we say farmers, we mean all farm workers and farm managers as well. So what are our programs? We have two general program tracks. We have a hands-on practical training program that centers on education for beginning farmers. And then we have a more advanced business planning, technical assistant track that also includes some land access workshops for folks who are more advanced along their career to farming. Tonight, we're going to be talking specifically about our apprenticeship program, which offers paid positions to train with mentor farmers at our partner host farm sites around the state of Oregon. Nitsa, you can stay on that slide. You might be curious about what program participants get up to after they graduate. So we'll talk a little bit about where our alumni go and where they are now. Our training programs are effective. In our last survey of RFC alumni, most of our program graduates are either working in agriculture currently, about 59%, or they plan to in the future. It's what another 25% of respondents said. And additionally, most of our grads who are currently working in agriculture say that they plan to continue along those careers in the future. RFC alums pursue a number of different farm and food systems paths. They find work on sustainable farms as skilled labor. They step into lead and farm management positions. They start their own farm operations. And we have folks who have entered into food systems work, maybe not actively farming, but they are working in either academic or nonprofit or organizing sectors related to farm and food. I myself am a Rogue Farm Corps Apprenticeship Program graduate. After my season apprenticing at an RFC host farm, I went on to start a pasture-based livestock operation. And we also have a host farm site this year that's owned and operated by Rogue Farm Corps graduates, Rogue Farm Corps graduates, that is, are the future of farming. And we know that this generation of growers and ranchers are using these ecologically sustainable farming methods like those listed here. We've got folks who are certainly cover cropping, doing rotational grazing. We're working in no-till systems, who are dry farming, etc. Okay, we can go to the next slide. These are photos of some of our recent program participants. We work with beginning farmers from a diversity of backgrounds and also a diversity of prior experience levels. So who do we work with? Maybe you. Next slide, please. We're going to talk a little bit now about program eligibility. Question, who can apply for a Rogue Farm Corps apprenticeship? Well, we work with aspiring farmers from across the state and across the country. If you do not currently live in the state of Oregon, we would still absolutely love to encourage you to apply. Applicants must be 18 years or older to participate in one of our apprenticeship programs, and they do need to currently be eligible to work in the United States. At this moment, our apprenticeship program is not able to help folks secure work visas. So please know that as well. We do have program fees, but scholarships are available by request. Rogue Farm Corps is committed to creating equitable and inclusive training environments and to reducing barriers that BIPOC, LGBTQAI+, female identified, veteran or formerly incarcerated folks might face when they consider entering into farm work and food systems work. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so the exciting part, what is an RFC apprenticeship? Looking at the details of our program, we offer connection to seasonal employment and training opportunities at partner host farm sites. We work with farms that are small or mid-sized farms and use sustainable and ecologically responsible practices. We work with host farmers as well, who are mentors and experienced farmers. So who are host farm sites in our network, they are small to mid-scale, sustainable, potentially certified organic farmers who are using ecologically responsible practices, who have a minimum number of years of production experience, and who have applied and have interviewed with us and answered questions to share about their farming and farm training philosophy, and are capable of serving as dedicated host farm mentors. These host farmers provide opportunities to learn a variety of different production methods. The majority of our host farmers are growing organic vegetables. We do also have host farms that grow culinary or medicinal herbs, host farmers who are involved in seed production or cut flowers. We do have host farm sites that offer opportunity to learn animal husbandry, including potentially dairy, meat, egg production. Our host farmers also represent a diversity of marketing and distribution outlets and strategies. We have farms who have CSA programs, community supported agriculture programs. We have farms who sell at farmers markets. We have farms who sell to schools and to food banks, and we have farms who sell to restaurants. Each of our host farms is unique in its production practices and its marketing, and we help applicants and host farmers find a good fit via our application and our interviewing process to make sure that apprentices end up at a host farmer that provides training opportunities that will help them meet their interests and goals. Apprentices are hired by our host farmers as waged employees. That's a really important thing to know about our program. It means that apprentices are paid at least minimum wage and are protected by both state and federal labor laws, as well as some additional RFC protections that we have in place to make sure that apprentices are given enough space and time to focus on their farm training and education while they're working at a farm site. So, for example, program participants may not work more than 40 hours a week on average over the course of the season and may not work 50 hours in any given week over the season. So we have some overtime protections for our apprentices that go above and beyond state labor laws. We also require that our host farms give apprentices enough time off, not only to attend our educational event series and our weekend intensives, but also to allow enough time to transition from the work shift, the workday, and to prepare for class. So that hopefully will include time to have a meal and do some other things that apprentices might need to decompress and come ready to learn and focus after the end of physically demanding workday. We do have both part-time and full-time positions available on host farms. Some farms offer housing, although many of our host farms currently do not. Each host farm opportunity is different, and descriptions of each can be found on our website, which is, again, something we will look at together in a moment. We do have host farms all across the state, and in 2024, we'll have 3 regional clusters. We have a concentration of host farms in our Portland and Southern Oregon chapters. The Southern Oregon chapter is centered around Central Point. And then we also have a density of host farms in the Willamette Valley. These chapters or regional clusters are areas where we have a number of host farms, and so we organize in-person educational events there. Last thing to highlight about program logistics is that apprentices receive at least 500 hours of on-farm training at their host farm sites over the course of the season. And in addition to the on-farm training, apprentices attend an educational event series and 3 weekend intensive workshops. We can go to the next slide. Our Beginning Farmer Educational Event Series, or BFES for short, complements the on-farm experience where apprentices are learning by doing at their host farms with their host farm mentors. Our educational event series includes both in-person and virtual educational events and is open to enrollment and registration from other beginning farmer learners who are outside of our apprenticeship program. So if potentially you decide that a Rogue Farm Corps Apprenticeship isn't right for you, but you're still interested in receiving sustainable or regenerative farm training or education, rather, you can still apply to take our Beginning Farmer Educational Event Series. Applications for that will open up in March. We do recommend that folks be actively engaged in farming some way, even if they're not an RFC apprentice, if they're going to enroll in this program, because they'll find the series most impactful that way if it is paired with hands-on experience somewhere, if not through our apprenticeship program. The events in our educational event series are led by experienced farmers, other ag professionals, and then RFC staff, depending on the class or the workshop. In addition to online and in-person classes, the series includes a number of farm tours, which provide exposure to a variety of farms and farmers and production systems over the course of the series. And the timeline for most apprenticeships lines up with the typical Oregon farming calendar. So our event series does as well. It runs from April through October. Over the course of the season, in the online educational event series, participants have the opportunity to develop a learning cohort and a peer network, both as an inclusive statewide group, all program participants around the state, as well as within the regional chapters or clusters that we discussed for apprenticeships, which provides a sense of community and also opportunities for social engagement with other beginning farmers. Many folks say that this is one of the most meaningful parts of the experience, and I would second that as a program participant. I'm still in touch with folks who were my cohort apprentice peers when I went through the program, and they're important parts of my farm network. Apprentices and other BFES, Beginning Farmer Educational Event Series participants, also receive access to a suite of resources, both online in a Google Classroom format as digital copies, and then also print materials that they'll have continued access to after the program concludes. And these two photos here that you're looking at are photos from last season's Beginning Farmer Educational Event Series. On the left, there is a photo of a cool piece of equipment called a roller crimper, which is a neat implement that's used in no-till systems. And then on the right, we have a regenerative grazing lecture in process during the summer of 2023. We can go to the next slide and take a look here at an example syllabus for our educational event series. Some of these classes or some of these topics will be offered as online classes. Some will be discussed at in-person regional events or farm tours within those chapters if a apprentice is up in either Portland or Southern Oregon or the Willamette Valley. And then some will be covered over the course of a 2-day in-depth intensive workshop series, which we will hold 3 of over the course of 2024. And all apprentices from around the state attend those 3 weekend intensives. So if you are apprenticing at a distanced or a satellite host farm, you would attend our online classes, and then you would come to those 3 weekend intensives. And if you were apprenticing at a host farm in one of those 3 regional chapters or cluster areas, Portland, Southern Oregon, or the Rogue Valley, or the Willamette Valley, you would also attend a number of additional in-person events and farm tours in your area with your smaller cohort of apprentices. And we can go to the next slide. I will also mention just briefly here that we have another farm training program called Regenerative Farming Fellowship that we administer at a farm training site at Southern Oregon University's Southern Oregon Research Experiment Center, or SOREC, which is in the Rogue Valley. And this is a program that's a partnership between Rogue Farm Corps and a local nonprofit in that area called Family Nurturing Center. It's a program that's most appropriate for people who already live in the Medford or Central Point area in Oregon. No housing is offered for this one. And the fellowship has space for 5 fellows to participate, who will then be mentored by Rogue Farm Corps and Family Nurturing Center staff. And this is a part-time entry-level farm skills training program for farm curious folks who may face extra barriers to exploring a career in sustainable agriculture. Farming fellows also attend the Beginning Farmer Educational Event Series along with apprentices in the area. Okay, I think now I saw that we have our program grads on the line. So we're going to switch gears and hear from a recent 2023 program graduate. So from last season, Finley was at Tumbleweed Farm, and he will share about his experience. And then we also have a 2022 program graduate who we will invite, if she is on the call, to share about her time at Farrell Farm in 2022. So I am going to unmute Finley.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hey Finley, nice to see you.
Hey Kate, what's up? I see Nitsa there too. What's going on?
Yeah, just when you are ready for us to go to the next slide, just let Nitsa know.
I will. Well, nice to see y'all and everybody else who's here. Thanks for being interested. Yes, I was an apprentice last year with RFC. Very happy I did so, and happy to tell you a bit more about my experience. I'm sure that wherever you find your host farmer is going to kind of really shape your season. So I can share a little about what I was looking for in a host farm, and yeah, what I wanted to get out of the experience. So this photo you're seeing right here, minus the little red scratches, are that's Tumbleweed Farm, and you can see the 2 owners of the farm. One on the left, that's Andrea Bemis, and then in the far distance, the figure on the right is Taylor Bemis. He is actively mentoring my other coworker and apprentice, Jenna, who's learning the BCS mower at the moment. And that was pretty much the whole crew. When I was looking for a host farm, I wanted a place that was family owned and operated. I had previously worked at like a nonprofit farm, and that was great, but I kind of wanted a more real bottom line kind of business feel, just to see the ins and outs of a real farm business, and yeah, feel that a little more. And I wanted folks that, you know, were striving to find a balance between the principles of sort of sustainable ag and practicality of, running a business and having good quality of life. And I read that and read into it when I read the description of Tumbleweed Farm, and in talking with the host farmers more, I kind of felt that. And I was also looking for close mentorship. So I knew that I would be in the field with them every day, working alongside them for much of the day. And because it was such a small team, and that was great. I got to ask questions as they came up and really see how they did it. The other thing that was on my list when I was looking for a host farm was housing. And Tumbleweed did not offer housing, and I was like, oh, I don't know if it's going to work out. But they did have some connections in the area that were like less than 10 minutes away, and one of those ended up panning out for me, and I'm actually still in that place now. So that really helped, and I actually enjoyed having a life separate from the farm. That actually ended up being a good move. Yeah, and I also wanted to be at a host farm that was in a place that I thought I would enjoy in my time off, and I totally did. The Upper Valley of Hood River County is a lovely, lovely place. Feel lucky to be here. Why don't you go to the next photo? And oh, that's cool. Yes, so you can see here on the left, that's Jenna, my co-apprentice at Tumbleweed. I know, pretty sure that, yeah, Tumbleweed is going to be hosting farmers again this year. Jenna may or may not be one of the like continuing her employment there at Tumbleweed. She's a great farmer and great to work with. But I think part of my experience at the host farm was just seeing the behind the scenes of what does it look like to pack 150 CSA boxes in the morning, and then uh, the whole process from seeding to potting up to transplanting to weeding, harvesting, washing, packing, delivering, and selling. I got to do every part of it because it was a small team and it was awesome. Yeah, go to the next photo for me. Something else I liked about this farm was like in the last photo, the building on the left, that's their home, and in the distance is the farm. And so the family and farm life was very combined. I found myself like babysitting at times, but it was great. Their kids were fun, and it felt very real and human because they had needs to take care of their family, and I had needs to take care of me. And this photo just totally exemplified it. That's my mentor Taylor with the baby and the Bjorn, showing us how to hoe the lettuce. And yeah, it was awesome to see them kind of doing their farm life and while still showing us the things that they do. Yeah, next slide, please. This is our awesome farmers market stand that was looking really good midway through the season. I got to work the farmers market just about every other week, sometimes every week. We had enough people to kind of switch off so that I could get some more days off on the weekend. But I was really, really happy to be a part of that because the other farmers and growers at the market were just splendid people and really like were open to talking and would hang out after the market, and instantly kind of worked me into this kind of the more local Hood River food system scene. And yeah, it was awesome because Tumbleweed was known and respected in the area. It kind of gave me some credibility when I would talk to other people, and yeah, it was ideal. One more photo, I think. Oh yeah, free vegetables. That's so nice to be compensated for your labor with vegetables, and I ate very well during this past season, grilling up all those garlic scapes at some point in June probably. Cool. Go to the next photo for me. All right, here's another photo from an RFC tour at Kate's place, showing us a beautiful sow. So more about the Beefies program and how it related to my time at Tumbleweed. There was myself and Jenna at Tumbleweed Farm and another apprentice, Hannah, at Peachwood Orchard nearby. So we were kind of the Hood River crew. So we're a little separated from everybody else, but not too far to get to the city. But whenever we did go to an educational event, we kind of all carpooled and go there together. Made kind of a fun trip out of it. And it was great because whenever we were carpooling, we would go to an event and then drive back, and we would get like an hour's drive to just talk about everything we had learned. And we would always be kind of comparing and contrasting things we saw at the farm tour versus our own farms or each other's farms. And it kind of helps put into context all the things that you're doing at your host farm with the broader kind of organic movement, I would say. It also gave me something to talk about with my mentor when we came back. He'd be like, "So what did you do yesterday?" And then I would have to regurgitate and like tell him all the things we learned, and then we would find ourselves talking about, "Oh yeah, like you actually have some space over here on your fence line, like that could be a great pollinator hedgerow." Or we started talking about different tools that he could use, and so it was like great fodder for conversation and thought. And then lastly, gave a great feeling of support and of being a part of something bigger, not just not just a farm worker. I was reminded of my commitment to like continued learning. I'm an apprentice, I'm here to learn and to work. And so it was like really nice to have that weekly kind of reminder. Um, yeah. And then also getting exposure to all those different operations really helped me kind of hone my vision a little more for how I want to farm or how I want to be involved in the food system at large. Yeah, go to the next photo for me. There were some hard times too. This is from, the 4 or 5 days where we were in respirators during smoke season, and I guess this goes back to the point of like, whenever you're going through something hard at the farm, chances are other folks in the program are as well, and having other people that are like in the same point of the season as you to be able to like talk to really it really helped. And I was lucky to have another apprentice at my place, but that would have been especially important if I was, the only apprentice at my host farm, just having other people there. But yeah, we got through it. And yeah, next slide, next photo. Oh yeah, this is a fun little anecdote about kind of what I got from the program. You're seeing here Jenna on the far right, my co-apprentice. That's Hannah in the middle, that apprentice at Peachwood Orchard. That's Bailey on the left, my partner. And we were, like I was saying, we were all working the farmers market this Saturday, and we're all like really enjoying that mid part of the season, but like feeling like we couldn't get didn't have any time to get away from the farm. We're like, it's so beautiful out. We're like right next to Mount Hood. Let's go. And we like packed up our backpacks at my house right afterwards, and then like hit the trail, and only got there at like 3 or 4 o'clock. And so we were like hiking into the dusk, and eventually like camped out in the dark. But woke up the next morning and enjoyed the alpine environment of the north slope of Mount Hood. And I don't know, I like this photo just because I remembered the bonds that I developed with other apprentices and other farmers at the market, and these people have become great friends. So yeah, that was just nice. But apart from that, other things I got from the program, just a broader scope, I would say, of the organizations and the markets that are involved for small farmers in Oregon. And then just a little bit of an idea of what life is like for a farmer these days in this part of the country. And then, of course, I've now planted myself in this kind of unique corner of the Northwest. And yeah, that's kind of a good segue to where I am now. I guess you can maybe you can probably drop the slides and just look at me for a minute. You can stand it. I'm still here in Hood River, and have been applying to lots of things for the next season. When I went into the program last year, I really wanted to see, like I said, the ins and outs of running a farm business. I wanted to ride the wave of one full farming season in one location and really feel it, get the dirt under my nails and feel the sun. And I also wanted to figure out what kind of farming I'm most called to do, and where I might do it. So I think that kind of realized that I do love working with plants and being in the soil, but that also animals are a big part of what kind of drew me into agriculture. And for me, I think they have maybe a greater potential as a climate solution, which is a very big motivator and why I'm doing this work. So I'm currently making plans to apprentice at a regenerative ranch in Montana. And I guess I also realized like it's really good for education to go where it's happening, and Western Oregon is definitely like where it's happening for small farms for vegetables. And it feels like, from what I'm getting, Montana is kind of a hotbed for sustainable grazing right now. So I'm feeling good about going there and soaking that up. But bigger picture, thinking about continuing maybe in a career in natural resource conservation I think would be equally fulfilling as farming, and might put to use some of my other talents. But still want to be able to live the land-based lifestyle in that case as well. But yeah, developing story. But yeah, RFC was a great part of it. Got me where I am.
Cool. Thanks, Finley. It's really nice to see you too. Um,
Likewise.
Jess, hello. Hi, Jess. Would you like to? I'm gonna Yeah, there you go. Hey, cool. Do you want to take the mic here and share a bit
Yeah.
about your time at Farrell in 2022 and also what you're up to now?
Yeah. So my name is Jess. I use she, her pronouns. And I interned in 2022 at Farrell Farm. It's a seed production farm in the Rogue Valley, so like Southern Oregon. Um, and yeah, I kind of like relate a lot to what Finley was saying. And I guess like my background is I've kind of been farming on and off since moving to the Rogue Valley. I've kind of lived here for like a few years. And so at the time, like applying to Rogue Farm Corps, I had known about it for a few years, but like a few years ago it was like really expensive to join. And now like the cost is like a lot lower. And so, but anyway, like at the time I was kind of looking for more like a place to be on the farm and living on the farm. And so I applied and I didn't get that farm placement, but I got Farrell, which was really awesome. So I was commuting and only doing it part-time because I just have like other hobbies that I was really getting into and I just wanted to do like more of a part-time kind of thing. Which was really cool. I just felt like I kind of missed like a little bit of like, I was like working Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays I wasn't at the farm, so I kind of felt like I missed out a little bit, but it's all good. Um, and so I kind of wanted to also like ease my way back into farming in like 2022, like a few years like in between like beforehand I was not farming. That's also why I kind of wanted to do more of like part-time. And I was also just looking for different, like I had been doing like a lot of herbal medicine farm work and a little bit of veggie. So it was cool to do like seed farming. I really wanted to explore like just a different style of farming because I know I want to have my own farm in the future. And so just exploring different farms and like seeing how to incorporate those practices in the future was important to me. And yeah, it's just really cool. I felt like just a lot of info and knowledge through the like education series, which is great, but like a little overwhelming at times. But yeah, like even just I think Finley was kind of talking about how like it was really cool to like have class and then the next day at the farm like talk about it with the host farmer. And like I also there was another apprentice at the farm that I was at, so she was full time. And like yeah, just like seeing different ways that we can implement what we had just learned on the farm was really cool. um and Yeah, I felt like I got a lot of networking opportunities was like the main um highlights, I guess, of the program. And I ended up actually working for a different host farmer last season. And then I got like another job at a different farm with like a host farmer too. So it was just like cool to get that because sometimes it's hard, I don't know, like down here to find a farm job. It's just like they want like 3 to 5 years experience sometimes. And I'm like, how do y'all expect like that to happen if you're not going to hire people that don't have that? So yeah, just like the networking opportunities and just working with like the different farmers too was really cool. Um, Sorry, I don't have pictures for y'all. Um, and I also like one of like my main highlights that I really loved was just finding a new like found love of seeds. Like they're just so fucking cool. And I want to like incorporate them into my farm business in the future. And um I guess like just my goals going into the program was I just want to get as much experience before I have my own farm as much as I can. And it's cool to like see what works for people and like how different farmers are more like anal about certain things and like where you can just be more relaxed about certain things sometimes. So yeah, like I was just mentioning right now, I work at like a year-round veggie farm and it's also like part of this like nonprofit. And I really like them. They have like an awesome like mission and I align a lot with their values. So that's like all I have. um
That's great. Thank you
yes.
so much.
Mhm.
I'm really happy to hear that it was a good match to pursue a host farm that was specializing in seed production. And the next time that I make it down to that part of the state to check in on what Family Nurturing Center and the Regenerative Farming Fellowship is up to, I hope to swing through Farrell for sure. But yeah, maybe there can be some sort of a Southern Oregon RFC alum get together in the future. Be great to meet you. And thanks for sharing and being here.
Thanks. Yeah.
Finley and Jess, if both of you have time to stick around, we're going to share a little bit about the application process now, but maybe you can answer questions from folks later on if they have them. Cool. All right. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So back to the apprenticeship program and how to apply. I hope that those of you who are on the call here have had your interest piqued and you are now considering applying for a paid apprenticeship with one of our outstanding host farm mentors. You might or might not know that the average age of an Oregon farmer and rancher is 60 years old, and that same fact is pretty true, holds solid nationwide, and that age is steadily increasing every year. So we have a situation where the number of beginning farmers and ranchers has been shrinking, and we're hoping that you will be part of the movement to reverse that trend. And critically, not only do we need new farmers, but we especially need new farmers who are trained in sustainable or regenerative farming and agriculture, because in a world of increasing climate chaos, we need good land stewards who are using ecologically sound growing practices. So we need new folks to enter into this career path and learn how to farm because it's the future of food. And we hope that you are some of those folks. There is a program fee to participate, but you should know that we do have scholarships available, especially for BIPOC, LGBTQAI+, veteran, low income, female identified, or formerly incarcerated folks. We do have information available on our website about that, and we try to make it really easy to request a scholarship. So know that program fees shouldn't be a barrier to entry for anyone. And if you have questions about any of that, please do email us. Okay, so 2024 applications are live now on our website. I want to encourage you not to wait to apply because we review applications on a rolling basis and send them along to host farmers who are beginning the hiring process about now. Positions will be open until filled, but they do begin to fill. So we're going to go to the next slide and take a look at how to apply on our website. Okay. So, how do you apply? Big question. First, please do read the full program description on our website. In addition to general info about apprenticeships, which includes program fees and scholarship information, we also have an FAQ page that might answer questions that are coming up for you. We have a sample schedule for our beginning farmer educational event series and more information about that. And then we also have a series of descriptions of our host farms. We have host farm profiles up on our website. These profiles are going to describe the farm operation, their production practices, their location. You can read about what the expectations that the farmer mentors have for program participants. It's also where you're going to find info about the specifics of the positions that each host farm site is offering. So, for example, if it's part-time or full-time, if there's on-farm housing offered, and then approximate start and end dates, is there Wi-Fi service there that's consistent, and should you need to have your own vehicle to get to and from the farm? Let's see, I think now would be a good time, Nitsa, to click on that link to review host farm profiles and go over to our website here. So if we scroll down the page a little bit, you'll see that we have a map that shows where all of our host farm sites are. You can, on your own time, explore that map. And right now, I think we can go ahead and look at those host farm profiles down below. So you'll see that these are organized according to regions. So we have all of our Portland farms listed together. We have all of our Willamette Valley farms, our Southern Oregon or Rogue Valley farms, and then all of our farms that we are classifying as satellite or distanced farms that aren't in one of those three regions. So we can click on a host farm profile, and you'll see that up at the top here, we've got a picture of the farm, and then kind of like the basic stats about the farm position. So how many apprentice positions are they offering? Is it part-time, full-time? When are they starting? Also information here about languages spoken on farm. And then there's some pretty thorough info that our host farmers have written for you to introduce themselves, let you know about, again, what farming practices they're employing. So is this a vegetable farm? Is this an orchard? Do they have chickens? And something about what their farm practices are too, in terms of, would you have access or would you have opportunity to learn how to use a two-wheel BCS tractor or a larger four-wheel tractor? Is this a no-till farm? Are they experimenting with dry farming? Things like that. Probably also information here for you that you'd be interested in about their sales outlets. Is there an opportunity to pick up some farmers market shifts? Will you be packing CSA boxes, etc.? I would definitely recommend that you pay particular attention to the compensation and accommodation section, which is where the host farmer will let you know what hourly wage is being offered. If there's opportunity to accrue paid time off, what the vacation policy is, and if potentially there are any other additional stipends. Some host farmers will offer to pay a portion of the program fee if you successfully complete the program. So there's stuff to pay attention to there for sure, including, is there on-farm housing? Some host farmers offer food from the farm, most do, but you can check to verify that and read about it here. So that is an important thing. As you read through these profiles, make note of which host farms are of interest to you. Think about what type of farm activities you're interested in. So again, vegetable, cut flowers, orchard management, and also what regions around the state you would be interested in working in. Do you already live in Oregon? Are you looking for a host farm in your area? Or as Finley was saying, is there a particular part of the state that you think that you would really enjoy living and working in and want to explore? Think about that. Again, consider if you need on-farm housing. A lot of our host farmers will be able to give you some help or some ideas to find on-farm housing, even if they don't have any available on farm themselves. I think finally, I would strongly suggest that as you read through these introductions from host farmers, consider which farm mentors seem to have an outlook or training style or farm or food philosophy that you think you would work well with. As Jess was saying, look for a spot that you feel like you would be aligned with, because these jobs are hard work and you spend a lot of time with these people. So think about that too as well. Okay, great. Thanks, Nitsa. Let's go back to our slideshow, and we can then navigate to the apply page. So the fill out an application online link, we can go there. When you're ready to apply, you will navigate to this page on our website. And again, this reiterates for you right at the top, what are the steps or what are the prereqs to apply? You need to have read the program descriptions on our website. You need to be at least 18 years of age, and you need to currently be legally eligible to work in the United States. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page there, you will find a big old button to click to apply online, which will take you to a Google form. Above that, you'll also see that there is, oh, great. Yeah, we can stay here for a second. So it's a Google form, and there will be some questions here that will require a little bit of a maybe longer form answer or some reflections about what your farm goals are. You will also, as part of this application, provide some professional references and some information about your work history. So come prepared for those. If you don't have 3 professional, meaning employment references ready, you can provide information about volunteer work or maybe other relevant work that you've done that you think would be applicable here. If you would like to review the application in advance and work on it at your own pace, and then log in and fill out this online form, if you go back, Nitsa, to that application page, we can highlight for folks that there are links to both a PDF and a Word doc version of the application. So you can download those and work on them, and then come back in when you're ready and fill out your responses. You also, although I would encourage folks to apply online, if that doesn't work for you, you can print out the application, write in your response, and you can mail it to us. And the address where you would send a physical copy of your application is provided on the PDF of that form. So it's got all the info there for you. Additionally, if you have any questions about the application process, you can email us or you can give us a call, and that there's contact info for you here on our apply page, but our email and our contact number can also be found on that PDF of the application. Things to know. Thanks, Nitsa. I think we can go back to the slideshow. That's great. Things to know about what happens next after you hit that apply button. Once you submit your application, RFC staff reviews it. And if you are indeed eligible to apply for a program, we will then send your application along to host farmers who set up interviews with prospective apprentices that they're interested in interviewing. At that point, you will get their contact info as well, or contact information for all of our host farmers who still have positions open. And you can also contact them directly to request an interview. Know that host farmers are the ones who make the final hiring decision about who to offer an apprenticeship to on their farm. Not us, because it is their farm and their call. But it's also then a prospective apprentices, and each prospective apprentice has the agency to either accept or reject that decision. So both the host farm mentor and the apprentice need to decide it's a good fit to secure that spot. Most apprenticeships will begin sometime between April and May. Our educational event series begins in April. So if you start later on in the season at a host farm, you would start in our online educational event series, maybe before you end up on the farm. And program fees that we discussed earlier are only required for applications or applicants who make a successful host farm match. So it would not be until after you have secured an apprenticeship on a host farm that you would need to pay any program fee for RFC. And we do have installment payment options available as well. And I think with that, we are at 7 o'clock, so we're running a little long. But let's take a couple of minutes for Q&A. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask either RFC staff or Finley or Jess, it'd be great if you can type them in the chat. I don't think we've seen any questions so far, but I will pause and give us a sec to see if anything is coming up for folks. Okay. Sarah is typing a question. I think we probably have time for 2 or 3, depending on how long we go here.
All right, so our first question from Sarah is for Finley or Jess. Do you feel like you gained the skills to one day run your own farm?
I can chime in. I feel like yes, definitely. I gained skills that would help me run my own farm. Is it a guarantee that RFC will help you buy and start your farm next season? I probably would say no. But every skill I gained would help me run a farm, and I think it gave me a much more realistic picture of what would be involved if I was going to do that. We also would spend some time talking about a lot of skills that aren't related to farming, but property ownership and like the legality of water rights, things like that I wouldn't have known going straight into it. Yeah, that's what I could say.
Thanks, Finley. Jess, do you want to add something?
Sure. Yeah, I agree with what Finley said. There's definitely like so much knowledge that this program offers. Just for me, I just feel like my best way of learning is through like on hands like experience, which helps a lot. And I just think that it just is going to take some more time than just through this program, but it definitely helped like learn about all these different ways to help me get to where I want to be.
Thanks, Jess. And another question, this one's from Andrew, also for Jess and Finley. What are some unexpected aspects of the program that people tend to come across?
I guess I could say that most apprentices that I knew this season experienced kind of the intensity of the middle of the season, July and August, just putting in a lot of hours on the farm. And I knew that it would be physically demanding the whole season, but especially then. What I didn't expect was kind of the emotional burden of being really tied to the success of the crops, but also torn between, you know, putting so much of myself into the work that there was very little time for me, and that was a learning process to be more, firm with my boundaries, and carving out time and routines to keep myself healthy and happy. But that was like invaluable practice for my farm life in the future. But unexpected for me.
Yeah, that's a really good point. July and August are definitely the peak of farming season and all that goes on when you're doing physical labor. Yeah, Jess, do you want to add anything?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, thanks. Yes, these are all the questions left in the chat.
Okay, well, that works out because we are at time. And that's all the time we have for this call tonight. We look forward to seeing your applications and hopefully to working with many of you this season as RFC apprentices. I'm going to drop the link to apply in the chat real quick. And then also share before logging off in the chat again, the email address, which is training@roguefarmcorps.org, that you can send questions to. Again, please visit our website for more information, check out those host farm profiles, and thank you all for spending time here to learn about our program. We encourage you to dig into exploring a career in sustainable and regenerative agriculture with us this season. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, and goodbye.